Hey friends, welcome. My name is Max. Today we're going to be doing just a short class on releasing the hips and the psoas muscle. This is based off of something that I learned in my teacher training by the physical therapy expert who came and taught for the teacher training. So his name is Harvey Deutch. I will put a link to his YouTube channel in the description of this video so you can go check him out and see what he has to offer. He's a great teacher and has a lot of really good knowledge. So he shared this one with my teacher training group. And for me, I felt like, wow, this really helped me. I really felt the release, the relaxation, and I just found this to be a great exercise to do. So it's going to be very gentle, very slow, not really like a traditional yoga class. I'm not going to go through like a full warm up and like moving through different postures. We'll just do this, what Harvey called the block psoas sequence, and with a little bit of my own variation for what feels good for me. But please feel free to follow along and join me for class. You will need a yoga block for this class or something about this size that's sturdy for you. So sometimes yoga teachers say you can use a book or whatever. This, you might not want to use a book just because we're going to be putting our weight fully on the yoga block. So pause the video if you need to now to grab your block. And then when you're ready, come back and join me and we'll get right into class. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down on my back and I invite you to join me here. All right, so I'm on my back. My feet are flat on the mat. And I'm going to take the yoga block in the lowest setting. So flat on the floor like this, the lowest setting. And I'm going to slide it underneath my hips. So you want the block underneath your sacrum. So I think Harvey explained this to me. You want this block not on your butt and not on your lower back. So in between. So I feel like the top ridge of my pelvis, I can feel I line up the edge of the block with that and I feel good. I feel like I'm set up on this block. So again, on the sacrum, not on the butt, not on the low back, and I advise you to start on the lowest setting here. So what we'll do, just relax your upper body. Let's lift the legs up and kind of just like this feet up the wall position, but we're just holding the feet up here for a moment. Maybe pumping and kicking the feet. Just playing with that. Rolling out the ankles. And then maybe finding stillness for a moment. Let's slowly, keeping the legs fairly straight, open up the feet away from each other. So kind of like you're doing a side split, but just moving very slowly. When you get to your like maximum range of motion, you can just very slowly start coming back up the other way. So feet as slow as you can coming back together. And if you notice there's any spot where you're like, oh, wow, I'm kind of trembling here. My legs are shaking a little bit. Maybe hang out there for a second. So don't strain. Try to relax as much as possible. But if you feel like I do, I get to a certain spot and my feet just start trembling. My whole legs start trembling. That's a good spot to hang out. I'm back with my feet together, but take your time. And then you can go back down one more time, or if you're still hanging out in a trembly spot, that's cool. Going all the way. Just finding what feels good. and finding those shaky, trembly spots and hanging out there, relaxing with the breath. All right, let's slowly make our way back so the legs are straight up again. And then we'll bend the knees and drop the feet down. So just to get a baseline here, let's slide the block out from under us and then lie flat in your Shavasana position. So lying flat down on the ground. I feel a little bit of release already just from stretching and strengthening the inner line of the legs. So maybe you feel some of that sensation. But just notice how your hips feel lying flat, how your back feels. Maybe notice the tops of your hips, your hip flexor area. And so your psoas muscle is described as a very deep muscle, deep within your core. And it attaches somewhere right below your rib cage to your spine. And it comes down very deep into your hip region. So these are the really deep core muscles, the psoas. And so what we're going to do now is see if we can feel into that area and try to release any tension that's there. So let's bend the legs again so the feet are flat on the floor and bring the block back underneath, directly under the sacrum again. So this time, let's keep the left leg bent. And we'll slowly walk the right leg out so the leg's flat. So your right leg is straight out with your heel on the floor. You can let your toes kind of rock open to the outside, to the right, if that feels good. And the left foot's bent. We'll hang out here, breathing for just a second. Let's get a little bend in the right knee. So let's bring the right knee back up so the right foot's flat on the ground. Let's lift the left leg now, bent, grabbing hold of the left shin under the left knee. Just gently pulling that knee in towards you just a little bit. And then again, walking that right foot back out, straight ahead of you. So the block is underneath your sacrum, your left leg's bent, you're gently pulling the left knee down towards your left shoulder, and your right knee or your right leg is out long. So from here, see if you can bring your awareness into that right hip flexor area. So the front of your right hip and deep into your core. And notice if you feel what you feel in this area. If this is very intense, then just try to breathe and relax as much as you can. So you probably have done this position in another yoga class, just flat on the floor, but putting the block underneath your sacrum turns it into a little bit of a back bend. And it opens up the front of the hip just a little bit more. So if you want to go deeper and you feel like it's not going to be too much, move nice and slow, and please be careful. You can move the block to the next setting. So the medium setting. So I just flip the block up so it's on the side now and it's at the medium setting. I'm going to grab hold of the left knee again and then slowly walk the right leg out long in front of me. So same position, I just moved the block to the medium setting, which is totally optional. If you have very tight hips or you sit a lot, then you may want to just stay right on that first setting. Don't push yourself. There should be no pain here. But see if you can breathe now deep and slow into your belly. as you check in with, tune into the sensations in your right hip. So feel free to stay and hang out here as long as you'd like to. Releasing, relaxing, breathing deep into the belly to relax deep at your core. So you have the option to pause the video, stay here. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and move over to the other side. So you can gently release the left leg back down, moving very slowly. Let's bend the right leg, right foot comes flat on the floor. You can, if you feel like that was, a lot with the medium setting of the block, go back down to the lowest setting of the block before we continue. I'm just going to stay at this medium setting because I know this is what works for me. So bend the right leg, lifting that up. Go ahead, grab hold of the right knee or shin. And then slowly walking that left leg out in front of you, nice and long. Very gently pulling the right knee towards the right shoulder. And again, noticing how this feels the front of your left hip. Trying to take some slow, deep breaths into your belly. Feeling yourself relax a little bit more with each exhale. Going deeper. And allowing that tension to release deep in your hip, deep in your core. You may notice some feelings or energy coming up, and that's okay. So a lot of us hold tension or fear, anxiety, or trauma in our body, and our hips especially can hold it. For me, I've had hip surgery on this left hip. And when you put yourself in a position like this, and then tell your body to relax, sometimes it doesn't know what to do. Sometimes you've been clenching or holding tension here, or stress or trauma for so long. When you tell your body to relax, that things are stirred up. Emotions or memories or energy just comes up to the surface. That's okay, it's natural. If it feels too much for you, you can release at any time. But know that this is your body's way of just bringing those things up to the surface so that you can release them, hopefully let them go a little bit, letting some of that tension out of your system. So again, I invite you to stay in this position as long as you'd like to. You can stay here. You can pause the video and stay here. Otherwise, Slowly bending the left knee, walking that left knee, the left foot back down to the mat, releasing the right knee. So both feet moving very slowly. Both feet are now back onto the mat. Let's slide the block out from under us and just move it aside for now. And then we'll just release back down into Shavasana. So lie flat on your back. And just feel your body now. Do you notice a difference? You feel like maybe you have a little more space, a little more room, a little less tension in your system. If not, that's okay. But if you're anything like me, then I feel definitely a total different sensation in the front of my hips and into my core and even my back. And that's what we're looking for here. And just comparing this with the first time that we laid flat on the back. And just noticing the difference, tapping to your awareness. So maybe at the beginning of this video, you weren't even sure what or where your psoas was or is. And now you have hopefully what feels like a very powerful way to relax and release that tension that builds up over time in our hips and in our core. So I hope you found this helpful. Hope you found this relaxing. May you open to awareness for the benefit of all beings. And I hope to see you all again next time. Thanks so much, friends.